everybody, welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper. This is a beautiful vintage book that I've turned into a junk journal here. It's a revamp, and I love this image from 1927. Here's the page that I cut it out from. As you can see, it's an original, not a digital. Yeah, so I just love the fashions from the 20s. They're absolutely fantastic with the dropped waist and the pleats, and oh my gosh, I just love it. And they always wore these fantastic hats. So anyways, that is the focus of the cover here. We've got some vintage doily bits down here, some blue jay feathers here, some 1800s pieces in the back there. This is a bit of a book spine. And then I've got my vintage beads down the side here with those beautiful blues and blacks and cream colors, my color. And then of course the original book itself has this natural, beautiful border around it. And on the spine, it was originally a Black Beauty book, which I've had quite a few Black Beauty books, but this one is a nice large size. And it is, let me get my ruler. This one is 6 by, oh, it's a good size, 6 by 9. That's a good size antique junk journal. So before I put it in my Etsy shop, let me just give you a little tour of this one. It's overstuffed with antique ephemera and treasures inside. And as always, no commercial products. This right in the front here, I've got this wonderful cluster here from Antique Bits. And then this is a little vintage party invitation. I just think it's really sweet. It's from the 60s. It's adorable. And then on this side here, wonderful 1950 or 40s book page there. This is an antique image here with antique paper on the back for more journaling. Look at all the great journal space here. I made a fun little piece up here, all out of antique papers and words pulled from antique books. And here, this is just a little fold out with a lovely plate here. That would be Edwardian, that one. And then up here is a nice little pocket, and I love the title of this, Memories Wall, and it is fabulous. Isn't that great? It's so old. It's actually a part of the dust cover of an antique book, so that's great for journaling on as well. Neat. I love it. This is a American Highways Roadmap from 1955, and that is from a bookkeeping book, instruction book. And then in here, I've got this great Remington typewriter piece from the 50s. And then this is from a vintage Monopoly board, Monopoly game box. And that's, of course, the railway sign. That is from 1937, that school paper. And here's another 1930s plate from a Beatrix Potter book. Isn't she sweet? Little goose there. And then this is a vintage page out of a Birds of North America book, over 50 years old, that one. And that is all on top of a 1950s embroidery book page. Lovely images back there. Isn't that lovely? Some fun clusters down here, great journaling space up here, and then a 100-year-old banknote there. And I just love this little image with the paintbrush and paint set. Hold on, let me just close that. There we go. And then this is a fantastic 1940s transfer that you would use to, put on a tea towel, and then you would embroider over top of it. Look how whimsical that is. Very kitschy, very cool. I love it. This is a plate from 1904, another English, one of my English countryside book series pieces. And this is just a fantastic antique page book. Look at that chair, early 18th century chair. That's something. Love it. And this is just a really fun piece. Look at this. A brand new car, the Corvair. Wow, that must be a rare car. Butternut Wisdom on the back. That is from 1959. That fun piece. You can do lots of fun things with that. And then more of that bookkeeping piece. Early 1900s down there, 1920s here. Little goody two shoes and antique paper on the back. And a vintage ledger sheet. And here is a fabulous photograph here from the 1920s. Look at that little girl there. Very, very sweet, summer fun. And this is from a Theater Arts magazine from 1955. And I turned it into a little booklet of my cutoffs for more journaling space. A little bonus book there. And look at that cute little children's book page there from the 40s. That's sweet. And here is another 1947 Fashions Through the Ages page, and this one is about the Renaissance of England era. And oh, I love this piece here. That's early 1920s. And then this is one of my fun little vintage baby cards from the 50s, and you can certainly journal inside and back of that one as well. Little vintage dictionary page there, vintage canasta score card there. You can journal in the back of that. It's got great lines. And then here's just a vintage page, but lots of space on the back for journaling. The natural aging marks on it, which I love. There's a tag I made with lots of clusters for journaling on the back of. Another fun antique piece down here. Antique piece here from 1923. Look at that sweet little image. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Yeah. And then there's a little pocket here that I've left empty, so you can put anything you like in there. And here is a little Wildflowers of America book, also over 50 years old. And the pocket is made out of interior spine of a 120-year-old book. Great little children's book page here. And the vintage bird book page, Birds of North America. And there is from the early 1900s, pre-1910, and there's some of my pressed flowers there on top of the antique paper, and a vintage song sheet. This is a hand-typed research page, probably done in the late 1800s, about 1886. Fun little pocket down here, The Jester. Tale of Two Cities, a classic. That is a vintage book. And this is another wonderful vintage page here. Isn't that wonderful? I love this image here, and then the fun poem on the back about 3 men in a tub. A 1950s recipe book page. Look at all the different cakes here. That's kind of awesome. Home landscaping from the 50s. And a little inscription there, somebody with a phone number before they even had area codes. This is a little button board, little silk buttons. And this here is just an antique book page for journaling on the back of, because it's blank. And then here's another great plate from 1904. And again, you can journal on the back of that as well, or do any kind of fun artwork with that. I love this antique music sheet, Trust, and the Sands of Dee on the other side. This is a vintage book about antiques. And this here is another Better Homes and Gardens recipe book page. That is fruit cheesecake. I gotta be honest, that does not look appetizing. But it's fun. It's sure fun. And then this envelope here, which is awesome, which is from 1938. So I made that into a little pocket. Great. I made this pocket out of an old doily, vintage doily, and there is a plate as well, an antique book plate that you can journal on. Great children's book page here, 1950s crochet book page here, another little vintage children's book page there with antique paper on the back, 1970s fun magazine page, which is kind of retro, vintage at the same time. And here is one of my 1930s flinch cards, and this beautiful little fox pocket down here. Isn't that lovely? And that is early 1900s. And this fantastic map here from the middle Atlantic states. Isn't that beautiful? So the East Coast, Upper East Coast of America from 1923. Isn't that great? What a wonderful image here. And then tasty purple beans. I love it. Just great advertisements from these vintage books. Another, speaking of which, that is actually from an antique paper. And then this is from a 1950s university yearbook. Really fun to look at the fashions and the hairdos. And that's the last book page there. So I hope you love it as much as I loved making it. Visit soon. Bye for now.